What's going on, everyone? Bass here. Happy Victory Monday to everyone watching. It is that time. It's time to go over the PFF grades from the Green Bay Packers' victory over the Chicago Bears last night, Sunday Night Football, where they won 27-10. I do this recap every week where we break down all the PFF grades from the previous game on Monday after the game. So if that does interest you and you are new here, please go down and click that subscribe button as well as leave a like on the video. All right, so let's hop right into it. Waste no more time. Bring up the screen here, and we're going to start on offense here with the offensive grades. And at the top, it is none other than Aaron Jones with a 90.1 offensive grade, an 81.5 receiving grade, a 85.6 running grade. And Aaron Jones balled out. 15 carries, 132 yards, 1 touchdown, also 3 receptions, 38 yards, and a touchdown there as well. Before the game yesterday, I thought Aaron Jones and predicted he was going to get 180 scrimmage yards. He had 170, so pretty good prediction there. And this is exactly what I thought the Packers should have done yesterday, was feed Aaron Jones. He needed more touches after only having 8 week 1, and he was averaging a lot of yards on those 8 touches week 1. And Matt LaFleur pretty much said, hey, we need to get Aaron Jones the ball, and that's exactly what they did, and he destroyed the Chicago Bears defense. It seemed he was breaking 1 tackle every single play, his yards after contact. I mean, Aaron Jones ran all over this defense. Then going down the list, we have Randall Cobb with an 85.3, Aaron Rodgers with an 83.5, Sammy Watkins an 80.7. He had the most receiving yards with 93. A.J. Dillon had a 73.6. He also had 61 yards running over those 18 carries, 1 reception, 6 yards, so not as many catches or receiving yards as last week. Mercedes Lewis, a 71.7. Josh Nijman was the highest graded lineman with a 70.0, and we'll go over the specific lineman grades here in a second. John Runyon also tied him with a 70.0. Christian Watson, 66.9. Romeo Dobbs, 64.9. Josh Myers, 64.4. Allen Lazard, 62.2. Tunyon had a 62.1, but only 27 total snaps. Still not seeing the amount of usage that I want from Robert Tunyon yet. Amari Rodgers had an offensive snap. I think it was on the last play of the game. He had 1 total snap and a 60.0, but Tyler Davis had 21 snaps, 58.7. Elton Jenkins was the lowest, second lowest graded lineman with a 58.5. That's because he allowed 3 pressures and a sack, and again, we'll go into that, but I still liked the way he played. I still thought he played good, and it was still a better combination than Hansen and Newman there. And speaking of Newman, right after DeGuara with a 56.2, Newman was the lowest graded player on the Packers offense and the lowest graded lineman, a 49.6. And to dive more into the blocking, we'll go over the pass blocking grades. John Runyon was the best pass blocking lineman last night. No pressures, no sacks. Josh Myers, same thing. No pressures, no sacks, 82.3 rating. Did have 1 penalty. Josh Nijman was number 3 with a 75.1. He did allow 2 hurries and 2 pressures. Royce Newman, a 71.0 pass block grade, allowed 1 hurry, 1 pressure. And then if we go down to Elton Jenkins here, a 50.7 pass block grade with 1 sack, 2 hurries, and 3 pressures. So Elton Jenkins definitely did look a little rusty. I'm not saying he looked perfect, but I still think he was a big improvement on the right side of that offensive line. And the Packers went that way a lot, especially in the run game. And Elton Jenkins here, as we see, he still only had a 59.7 run block grade, but I feel the Packers were able to go to the right side of that offensive line a lot more than they're used to. And obviously, Elton Jenkins tore his ACL November 1st of last year. He's just getting back into the swing of things. He has a little bit of rust to knock off, so I'm not too worried about that. I do believe he will be, one of the best linemen, if not the best lineman on this entire offensive line, wherever he plays on it. So I'm not worried about that. This grade doesn't speak much volume to me. I liked what I saw from Elton Jenkins, and I'm really hyped to have him on the line going forward. As for the run blocking grade, we see Sammy Watkins and A.J. Dillon and Mercedes Lewis all topping the run blocking grades. Sammy Watkins, all these wide receivers blocked so well last night. We saw A.J. Dillon on Aaron Jones' touchdown being the lead blocker, blocking Roquan Smith right out of the end zone, allowing Aaron Jones an easy walk-in touchdown. So he definitely deserves that run blocking grade there. Josh Nijman was the highest run blocking lineman with a 65.0, tied with Josh Myers with also a 65.0. John Runyon, a 63.9. And then going down, Elton Jenkins, as we said, that 59.7. And Royce Newman had the worst run blocking grade on the team with a 51.5. So a lot of people are still saying, hey, we need to get Zach Tom out there. He needs to be starting at right guard. I somewhat agree. Now, Royce Newman's a solid player. He's definitely the weak point on this line as it sits right now. So Zach Tom clearly showed a lot of promise and a lot of potential. So getting him out there might happen sooner rather than later. If we look at the passing chart for Aaron Rodgers, last week he was 0 for 2, 20-plus yards. Last night he was 2 for 3. We see up between the numbers, 20-plus yards, 1 for 1, 55 yards. That was that deep pass to Sammy Watkins. And then we see here on the right, outside right, 1 for 2, 20 yards. Intermediate, 10-plus yards, he was 3 for 3. So intermediate to deep, Aaron Rodgers was great last night. He was 1 for 1 on the left and 2 for 2 up the middle. And then as we see, between 0 and 10 yards, he was 1 for 2 from the left, 4 for 5 from the middle, and 1 for 2 from the right. And if we look a little bit into passing concepts, we see on play action, he had a 90.0 grade. He was 8 for 11, 116 yards and a touchdown. No play action, he was just as good. 11 for 14, 118 yards and a touchdown. When he threw a screen, he was 7 of 8. 69 yards and a touchdown, and no screen, 12 of 17, 165 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers played really well last night. He spread the ball around perfectly. Everyone pretty much touched the ball in the offense. He did exactly what he needed to do. And then finally, for offense, looking at receiving, we have Randall Cobb with an 87.0. He caught three receptions on 3 targets. Aaron Jones at 81.9, caught 3 receptions on 3 targets. Sammy Watkins, 3 receptions on 4 targets. Christian Watson, 3 receptions on 3 targets. A couple of those were jet touch passes, so those are gimmies. But Romeo Doubs, 2 receptions on 3 targets. Lazard, 2 for 3. Tunyon, 2 for 2. A.J. Dillon, 1 for 2. So like I said, ball was really spread around last night. They did exactly what they needed to do. All right, flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, the highest graded Packer player was Jaire Alexander with a 78.9, including an 86.2 cover grade. He allowed 1 reception on 2 targets for 30 yards and also, of course, had that interception to end the game there. Jaire played really good. Kenny Clark, I thought he was a little quiet, but I guess he was definitely not because he had 4 total pressures, so I must have missed some of those. He had a 78.7 grade and a 90.5 pass rush grade. He had 1 stop and 0 missed tackles. Quay Walker, the 3rd highest graded Packers defender last night, a 76.2 with a 77.5 tackle grade and an 87.3 coverage grade. I thought Quay Walker was amazing last night. Finally got to see him for a full game. Those 32 total snaps, so not all the snaps. Obviously, Devondre Campbell got all 100% at 41 snaps, and Quay got 32 of them, but close to that. He wasn't hurt for half the game like he was last week. Dean Lowry, 4th highest, 72.9. Preston Smith, 70.7. I thought Preston would be higher. I mean, he had a sack and 6 pressures. I thought he would definitely be higher here, but I guess not. Kingsley Enagbare, only 4 snaps. I've noticed Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith got like 90+% of snaps last night, which is not normal, but hey, they played really, really well, and they stayed in the game, so kudos to them for staying in the game that long. Enagbare, only 4 snaps. We see Devondre Campbell, another weakish grade on run defense and tackling. That's kind of been his problem these first 2 weeks. Got to clean that up. A 64.3 with a 51.8 run defense and 51.3 tackle. Good coverage grade, 76.0, only allowing 2 receptions on 3 targets for 14 yards. Darnell Savage, a little bit better, a lot better than last week, actually. A 62.7. Rasul, a 60.9. Stokes, 60.0. Adrian Amos, 59.2. Rashawn Gary at 59.0. I don't see that because, 3 pressures and a sack, a 34.3 tackle grade. That might be the issue. Maybe he missed 1 tackle. But I think Rashawn Gary's should have been graded way higher than that. I thought he played really, really well last night. Jerron Reed here, 52.0. And then the 3 worst defenders now, given it's less than 15 snaps each. Devontae Wyatt, only 4 snaps last night. A lot of people were wondering, where is Devontae Wyatt? Well, he only played 4 snaps, and he had a 43.8 grade. TJ Slayton, even worse, in 14 snaps, a 38.7. And Jonathan Garvin, only 3 snaps, 29.4. So Tipa Nalia didn't even play on defense. And like I said, John Garvin, 3 snaps, and Enagbare, 4 snaps. So Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary played a lot of this game. Rashawn Gary, 36 snaps, and Preston Smith, 37. And those are out of a total of 41 snaps. So these edge guys played a lot of that game. And that normally doesn't happen. Usually that's around like 65 to 70% of snaps. They played over 90%, which is super, super impressive. And they played super, super well. Then quickly to wrap this up, looking at coverage grades, Quay Walker had the highest coverage grade last night, an 87.3. He allowed 2 receptions on 3 targets for only 21 yards. He had 1 pass breakup. Quay Walker, like I said, he played so well last night. He was flying around. I think there was an interview today or last night with Aaron Jones saying, who would beat who in a foot race. And Aaron Jones said Quay Walker would beat him, which that's just, speaking massive volume to how quick and fast Quay Walker is. We saw on that scramble right with Justin Fields running to the goal line, Quay Walker pretty much from a stopped position met Justin Fields at the goal line, stopped him at that 1-inch line, and what turned into a stop on 4th down, a very close call. So, that changed the game there as well. Quay Walker making a game-changing play there. Jair with an 86.2, of course, like I said, the interception played really well, only allowed 1 reception. Rasul only allowed 1 reception on 1 target, and that was against Darnell Mooney for -4 yards. Darnell Mooney has had, I think, under 10 yards this entire season so far, and -4 last night. Has definitely not played up to his standard. Devondre Campbell, still good in coverage, 76.0, allowed 2 receptions on 3 targets. Eric Stokes, 75.5, allowed 1 reception on 2 targets for 9 yards. And then we see Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage, both of these safeties didn't allow any receptions, but Justin Fields really never threw deep. The one time he did, it was Eric Stokes in single coverage. So I guess good on that. I mean, they were locking down their zones, but Justin Fields really can't throw to begin with. So they should, do good back there. But yeah, that finishes up the coverage grades. As for team grades going through 2 weeks, the Packers are still very low on special teams, but guys, they're not the worst. The Miami Dolphins officially have the worst special teams via PFF right now with a 37.7. The Packers are 10 points above them with a 47.1, so we're still pretty bad there, but we are not the worst. If we go to running grade, the Packers are number 1 in the NFL with an 85.8. And then pass rush, we see the Packers are number 10th here with a 76.4. So a lot of things to like about this Packers team so far, although there was a rough week 1. This defense stepped up last night. The run game looked great last night. Still want to see more vertical stuff with these wide receivers like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, but overall solid game, winning by 17 against the Chicago Bears. So happy we finally got that win there. We needed a bounce back week, and that's exactly what we got. But that about does it for this video. Again, if you did enjoy this, please leave a like down below. It supports my channel a ton, but I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.